Hi, welcome back to part two. Hopefully, you had time to look at the questions in step five to discuss them with your household or with other members of the class, either by phone or digitally. I hope that you had opportunity to process through those things and to see how God has been working through your life. I just wanted to share briefly in this part two, this second video, how I would answer these questions and how I would be interacting. So I'm just going to refer to what I wrote down and share with you briefly my answers to those same questions. The first question was, apart from your parents, name individuals who have had a significant positive impact on your life. Complete this exercise and be ready to discuss why these mentors had such an influence on you. Well, between 1 and 10 years of old, it was my grandmother, it was my Nana. And what I loved about my Nana is that she showed me unconditional love, but she also instilled in me a love of learning. She really read to me. She herself was a kindergarten and first grade teacher, and she nurtured me through that process, teaching me to read, teaching me to love learning and to love knowledge. Between the ages of 11 and 20 is when I had accepted Christ at about age 15, and God brought into my life a man named John Cleve. He became my spiritual father and my mentor. He began to show me what it's like to be transformed from the world, an angry, bitter young man who still struggles with the idea of focus and intensity, but he began a process by demonstrating for me his character, his Christ-likeness, and through the scriptures, what I could become. He saw in me potential I didn't see in myself, so I'm very thankful for him. Between 21 and 30 years of age, I get to refer, of course, to my wife. We got married at age 20, and she married a very raw young man. The amount of demandingness and impatience on my part is still something I feel guilt with to this day. But she showed me patience, she showed me endurance, and she showed me unconditional love as well. So she has been a huge motivating factor in my life. As a matter of fact, I believe that God used her during that time period specifically to equip me for ministry, because I entered ministry at age 30. Between 31 and 50, there were two men in my life that had meant a lot to me. One was John Morgan. He is a man that showed me faithfulness. He has been my friend since 1973. We continue to this day to be in contact, to be close, to share our hearts and our lives. He has shown me faithfulness. The other man has been Brian Carlson, and he's my Timothy. He's a man that I got to mentor and to raise up. And from him, I saw passion and I saw a drive to become like Christ. And the idea of submitting yourself to someone else was something that he has built into my life. So whatever I've gotten to give to him, I also give him credit for giving back to me. And then finally, in the years 50 and beyond, for those of us that have reached that milestone, I look to a man in our church right now, Doug Walters, and it's not so much what he can teach me or the knowledge he imparts. He has great stories and experiences, but it's the life we live together. It's the things where we spend time, and I see how he responds to situations in our church or in his life or in his relationships, and I have found him to be of great influence to me. God will bring these people in. There's so many people I haven't mentioned. Many of you watching this class have brought much to my life, and I thank you for that. We should look for where we can glean knowledge and Christ-likeness from others. It's a part of becoming more like Christ, part of being equipped to become better for the kingdom. Question 2 is this. Discuss various ways in which you could implement a broad leadership training strategy in your church or ministry. What specific steps would need to be taken in order to implement such a strategy? Well, for us, we've gone over a number of things. We're going to hit them again in these last two lessons because we think they're foundational to equipping people. One, IRTD, identify, recruit, train, deploy. Another one you're in the middle of right now, the Mountain View School of Theology. We want to have interaction where we're not just learning, but we're learning together and experiencing together. We also have written for our church something called Blueprint for Ministry. And our blueprint kind of describes much of what we do in terms of training and equipping. And then I'm personally in the middle of a large project called Doing Church, a church manual. And the idea is that I'm documenting all the various position papers we've put together, our philosophies, our position papers. All those things are going to come out in one large document that'll be available for anybody to use, Whether they find it all helpful or not, irregardless, it's there for anybody to reference. Question 3 is this. Discuss the effectiveness of the strategies you currently have in place for training women leaders, taking into consideration your church's policy on the role of women in the local church. Well, we believe that women are just as gifted as men. We believe that women should be afforded the opportunities to teach and to equip others as well. And we provided this class, other classes. We've been training women teachers. We have so many gifted women teachers in our church that are involved in mentoring, in women's studies and teaching classes and serving at almost every level in our church. And we are so thankful for them. We want to provide them with any opportunity. Much of the beginning of this class centered around the idea of women asking, what are some training opportunities we can have at the next level up or the next stage in life? And this class was a direct result of inviting the entire church into the process, just as future classes will be also. The fourth question is, what are some ideas about mentoring that you observed in the case study in step 1? Grasp the issue on Dean Frost's relationship with Ron. Well, I saw a couple of things that are important because mentoring is not just equipping. It's not just teaching. Mentoring involves a number of factors that I think you can't get around. There's no shortcut. There's no way to abbreviate it. The first one is time. It requires time spent together. The second thing is that mentoring is more than training. It's doing life together. It's sharing what our struggles are. It's helping and encouraging one another back and forth. It is relational, not instructional. Instruction comes out of the relationship, but it's relational. And I wanted to make that point as being important because here we talk about authentic and transparent relationships. You can't have them with everybody, but there should be people that you have them with where you can talk about the things of your heart, where you don't need to be afraid about what you're going to share because you trust them, you know they're going to love you, and they're going to walk alongside of you no matter what those things are. The final question was this. Discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the following approaches to leadership training. Mentoring. Mentoring is great about doing relationship. It's great about learning in real life and doing life together. It's not as impactful in terms of compressed knowledge. It rather takes knowledge as it happens, as it dribbles out and moves forward. But it has this incredible relational aspect that allows us to see how knowledge is applied. Discipleship groups are fantastic. They allow for people to interact, but they miss out sometimes on the idea of one-to-one relationship because they are, by definition, a group. So you need to have both in your life as far as I'm concerned. Formal leadership lectures. That would be things like this, where we can impart information, but we can only point to application. Application is going to come out by what you do and how you live. Seminary or Bible college training have the same strengths as lectures. They also have the same weaknesses. I went through both, and I found that I learned a lot in my head, but it was hard to put in practice in my heart because I didn't see it. I didn't apply it. I had to catch up my heart with my head. I'm always in that process. I always lead with my head and catch up with my heart. For some people, it's the other way around. They lead with their heart and their relationships, but they need to catch up in their head. The point is, whichever aspect you have, focus on making those two things as close to even as possible. You'll always lead with one, but don't let the other one lag so far behind that you become all feelings driven, because that'll lead to errors, or become all knowledge driven, because that will lead to legalism. I hope that helps. If you have any questions or you want to have any interaction, please feel free to email me, call me, ask for a pastoral meeting, whatever it is you need. I'm here for you. I'm happy to discuss any questions you have. God bless. I'll see you in part 3 as we do our wrap up.